Hey everybody, I am Ronnie Sanders and I am the host of Ronnie Spirit at Power Music Radio, and we have a conceptual exchange forum that we like to present to all of you. So to start out, I like each one of the DJs participating in the forum, and the people that you're going to meet are live DJs on Power Music Radio. So I'd like each one to take a second, introduce themselves and tell you who they are, what their show is, and when their show time is, so that you can be able to follow them after we finish this exchange. So first we'll start with DJ Collywood.
Okay, hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm DJ Collywood. I am the host of Jazzy Vibes, which is Monday through Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, I'm working on some things, so I'm going to be coming back and doing it up. I'm also I'm also, I guess, the host of the New Music Spotlight show, which we just debuted yesterday, which was really fun. And so we're going to be bringing to you all the new music hits that are out there, and you just presenting another level of R&B music and R&B music beauty to you all. So that's pretty much who I am. It's good.
And then we'll go to DJ Wise. Thank you, Hollywood.
All right.
All right. How's everybody? My name is DJ Waz, host of the Waz One Portfolio, each and every Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. My show consists of classic R&B music to new music, today's music, a little bit of jazz. You might find some reggae, but tune in and you'll find that the show has a little bit for everybody. You'll enjoy it.
And then next we have
That's it for me.
Habaka. Thank you, Wise. Habaka.
Hello, everybody. My name is Habaka, and the name of my show is Habaka's Beehive. I'm on Wednesday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock Pacific time, and on Mondays from 10 p.m. to midnight, and that is Pacific time as well. And my show is eclectic, jazzy, brassy, bluesy, and buzz. Lots of buzzing going on in there.
That's right.
So I'll be glad when you join me.
Thanks, Habaka. And
Thank you.
certainly, last but not least, this is our newest DJ to join the crew. And so excited because this is the first time that we are really, going to get a chance to meet Mandre. So Mandre, welcome to the crew. How are you? And tell us a little bit about you.
Hello. How you guys doing out there? My name is Mandre.
Oh, my name is Mandre. Thank you guys. Glad to be a part of the crew. So thank you guys first off for welcoming me into the crew. My show is going to be called In the Lounge with Mandre, and I'll be your host, the one that loves you the most, Mr. Mandre. And it happens, my first show is going to kick off Wednesday. Well, we did a Prince tribute last Sunday, which was really fun. I'm a big Prince fan, so you're going to hear a lot of Prince in my shows, and a lot of Prince related artists. My show is going to kick off this coming Wednesday, the 17th. I'm on at 7 to 9 Pacific and 10 to 12 Eastern. So please tune in, and we're doing the best in funk, jazz. You might hear a little pop, but R&B is our universal language. So that's what it's going to be about.
Thank you, Mandre, and welcome. And as you can see, as you can tell with these personalities, what kind of shows you're going to get. So we have a great time in Power Music Radio, and we're always ready to share that lovely time with each one of you. So make sure you follow these DJs, check in with them. And then now we're going to move on to a more serious note. And this forum is about the DJs here, all of us at Power Music, expressing how we feel about the events that's been happening to us, not just last week or the week before, but we're experiencing things continuously. And so we thought we'd like to get together and share our thoughts on what's going on, Black Lives Matter, why it's so important for everyone to understand what Black Lives Matter is, what it means to us. And so we're doing this as a freestyle forum. And so either one of you who wants to start, feel free to go ahead and start. And let's talk about our thoughts and our feelings. So anybody want to go first? You want me to go first? Okay, who said that, Mondre?
Yeah,
Okay.
Habaka wants to go first.
Okay. Oh, Habaka, you,
Huh?
he's nominating you.
Okay. Well, my thoughts on the Black Lives Matter is it's a very emotional. I will say that. I'm going through a lot of different emotional ups and downs. Some days are better than others, and being a international vocalist, um, traveling all over the world, I have experienced racism abroad, and it was not a good feeling. It really was very humiliating, and I really had never experienced racism to that extent before then. I believe that, you know, growing up, we just sort of kind of, you know, we've gotten to the point in our lives where we accept the racism, or we have accepted it more or less as a normal for us. However, when it's given and shown to you in such a way that you've never experienced it before, where it's just so blatant and there's nothing you can do about it, then it gives you something to think about. So really, with all of this happening with the Black Lives Matter, it just really brought in a plethora of feelings for me, different feelings. And like I said, some days are better than others, but I do find myself on some days where I'm just very, very depressed on everything that's going on, and my heart is truly heavy and broken, because it just makes me wonder why all of the time. The question is always why. And I don't think we have, as a Black race, as a Black people, I don't believe that question has ever been answered as to why is there so much hatred to us, to our culture, to our race. Why is that? And so even, like I said, being abroad, I can talk about one of my experiences. I arrived in Italy to do a tour, 3-month summer tour. And my very first day, I arrived to this hotel, and they made me leave the hotel. And I had to leave the very next day. I was supposed to stay there for 3 months, but they made me leave the next day. They had, and my promoter, they had to find me another hotel to stay in. And even though I didn't speak Italian at that time, I understood what was going on. So even though the language, I could still sense the hatred and I could sense the rejection. So I knew what it was. And they tried to, my promoter and everyone, they tried to assure me that that was not the case. And I believe that's what a lot of white people do right now. They, you know, I think they live in denial, and they don't really want to, those who are not racist, I believe they don't want to talk about it, and they are embarrassed about it. And I'll pass it on.
Okay. Who's
Well,
next?
I can sum up my feelings in one word, and that word is trauma. And with every shooting, every chokehold, every killing, it's like you pop on Facebook and you're trying to have a pleasant experience with your Facebook followers, and these things pop up, and it's just instant, just trauma. It's like being a black man in America is like, it's like dealing with PTSD. I mean, it's traumatic. I just was on Twitter earlier today, and they had a little feature where this cop pulled up, and she just wanted to greet this family. It was a little black girl. She's about 5 years old, and immediately the little girl held up her hands and started crying because she's just, you know, with everything that's going on now, she's traumatized by the police.
Right.
And it's I my hat's off to the kids that are out there protesting and stuff. I really think this time the kids are going to make a change. This is the first time I've really felt a lot of hope about what's happening in America right now. And it's like I said, it's traumatic, you know. I mean, I go through all the things that other people go through, you know, when I'm walking on the sidewalk and I'm walking up behind somebody white, I try to jangle my keys or make a noise so they can hear me so they won't be startled. You know, when I get into an elevator, I try to make sure I make eye contact and hold my hands a certain way, you know, so everybody can, in a non-threatening gesture, you know. And it doesn't matter they only weigh 90 pounds soaking wet. They still, you know,
Exactly.
they still get intimidated by the skin, you know, and it's always in the back of the mind. And, you know, nobody should have to live that way. But unfortunately we do. And we, as Black people, of course, we just adapt. And I'm just hoping for the day to come when we don't have to adapt anymore. So.
Exactly. Who's next? Colin was?
I'll go next.
Okay.
In regards to the Black Lives Matters movement, you know, things happen to us that don't happen to people all over America. While I was waiting for the video to open tonight, I'm scrolling through the news as I always do, and I come across an article, and it's two young Black boys walking down the street. Walking in the middle of the street, two cops pull up, of course white, they pull up, they hop out the car, run over there and grab the boy up, throw him on the ground, put handcuffs on the kid, but there's really no criminal action there. And you keep hearing the other boy saying, "Stop touching my cousin like that. Why are you touching his feet? Why are you touching him like that?" And I didn't have a chance to play it again because it sounded like I heard him say why he was touching him somewhere else. Now, to me, that sounds like you molesting the kid. Because if you watch the video and you haven't seen it because it just came up, he's rolling on the ground with the boy. There's no rest there. He's in handcuffs, but he is actually rolling around on the ground with the boy. And when the cousin keeps saying, "Why are you doing that to my cousin? Why are you stopping us? We ain't broke no laws," the other cop put him in handcuffs and telling him, sit him on the ground. Those kind of things like that happen to us is happening so blatant and just, it's like 1955 all over again. Cops just pull up on you and do crazy things to you. For instance, in Louisville, Kentucky, March 13th, Breonna Taylor, 26-year-old EMT, shot and killed in her house. Now, they're going there to serve a warrant, which they said was a no-knock warrant. But as soon as they knocked in the door, they come in shooting. They shot her 8 times. She dies in the hallway. And the boyfriend, I think they were saying they were serving a warrant to her, but I had heard before that the person who they were looking for was already apprehended 2 hours earlier.
Yeah, he was already apprehended.
So something, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So what happened there? Those people now, today, I just read while I'm waiting again for the video to open, they said that the police report was vacant. All they put in the police report that she was a 26-year-old female with no injuries.
Yeah.
Them cops should be arrested. And it takes a long time for us we have to tear up the town and tear up our own stuff and go crazy to get a little headway. Those things shouldn't be happening. We can't keep continuing like that. You know, Martin Luther King was nonviolent. Young people of today, they're showing violence. We're going to have to meet somewhere in the middle and everybody think, because we're going to have to outthink these people. You know, you go in the grocery stores, just like Mondre said. You go in the grocery stores, I be telling my kids, me and my daughter, and her name happened to be Brianna too. I just say, watch people's body languages. Body languages show a lot about people. You see some people standing back from you like you're going to get something from you. They all in their shit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things. Just like he said, get on the elevator. You don't want to hold your hands, get pulled over by the police. All those kind of crazy things that be happening to us. We got to make a better way for our children and their futures.
Exactly.
I'm going to leave that and pass it on to the next.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll tell you this, for me, this whole situation that just happened with George Floyd, it was very traumatizing. I think every situation that we hear about is traumatizing. And it definitely taps into our whoever said PTSD as Black people. This particular time though, I heard about it, and I on purpose, I didn't want to watch it. So I didn't want to watch the video. I tried to numb myself from it. And I think I shared this with Ronnie, I'm not sure, but I went to the laundromat to go wash some clothes about 2 weeks ago. And I went in there, it was just me and the owner. The owner was an Asian guy. And so he comes out and he says, hey, we know each other. And he said, you know, it's funny. He said, my family just called from Singapore and they asked, hey, what is going on over there in the United States? And so, you know, him and I, we had a conversation about, you know, this is kind of how it is. And I said, listen, this is 400 plus years of slavery. It's still active. It's still alive. It's just packaged differently. Had that conversation with him. And then he just looked at me. He said, why do the police keep doing this to Black people? He said, I'm angry. I'm angry. I'm angry. And he started yelling in the laundromat. And then I'm like, I feel you. I feel you. And while he was having that emotional outburst, that's when I finally looked on the TV and they played everything. And I lost it in the laundromat. I sat there, 40-year-old man crying like a baby because I was just thinking about, it's almost like when I saw that happen, I saw and I felt everything that us as a people have been experiencing for the last 500 years. And then to see this white guy who felt he had the authority and the permission and the God-given, you know, whatever, to actually lay his knee on the neck of a man and actually sit there like this, looking like, what are you going to do about it? And then to have his crew protect him and guard him. And then when after he called out for his mama and he lost and he had his last breath that he breathed and finally went on to be with the Lord. You know, like there was like no remorse, almost like, yeah, see, I got, you know, and my mother she was sharing this with me. You know how like, you know, those movies, or you see like even on National Geographics, like when the people be going around there and they're killing pigs and everything, and they have that stance, like, yeah, I conquered it, I killed it. And that's what he did. And to see that this man was like, yeah, I lynched this Black man. I won, I conquered, I got my prize in front of the world. That brought back everything that I experienced, all the racism that I experienced. High school, and I share the story all the time, my freshman year in high school here in Connecticut. I went to New Britain High School. For those of you who going to watch it, I'm putting them on blast. I don't even care. I was in a marching band. I played trumpet. I don't care. I played trumpet. I played, you know, I was in everything. And there was a situation where, and this all happened, I remember between October and November. And one of my section leaders, she didn't like me at the time. It was a white girl. And she wrote on my folder, she said, "You pimple-faced nigger." And so I went and I brought that to the band director's attention. He looked at me, he was like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You're just being sensitive. It's nothing serious." Then I brought it to the assistant principal and to the guidance counselor, and they're like, "Oh, you're just making a big deal out of it. You know, that's nothing." This girl called me a nigger, and it's not an issue.
Exactly.
Right.
Are you serious? And so all that, so that's kind of what the police officer, how when he kneeled on George's neck like that, and the way that they protected him was saying, "Oh, it's no big deal. Get over it. You're being serious. I mean, you're being too sensitive. Yeah, we're lynching him. Yeah, we're actually killing him just because. But hey, don't worry about it. It's not that serious." And so I think that's where we all. I can't speak for everybody, but I think in general, I think that's where we're all at. We're like, no, this is very serious. We can't keep tolerating this. Because we're a people, because we're people of faith. We go to church, we believe in God, and we're taught and we've been conditioned to tolerate everything.
Right.
And I think that we're in a position right now where we're like, you know what, enough of tolerating. Nah, enough is enough, because it's serious. I can't be sensitive no more. Or
Mhm.
I'm not going to let you, and I'm not going to let you make this about me, quote unquote, being too sensitive.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly.
It's the fact that they're not sensitive at all. They don't have any sensitivity.
None.
Exactly.
None.
And to me, it seemed as though he did that before.
Didn't he do that before?
I don't know,
I'm not
but
sure.
I'm just saying from his body language, is it appeared to me like he was just standing there, like with his hand in his pocket and stuff, and like
Yeah.
like I've done this before. I just never
You know,
got caught.
they were reporting that those two worked together at that nightclub.
Yeah, I saw those reports too.
Yeah.
Wait, who worked at the
And they
nightclub?
were bumping heads there.
Wait, who worked at the nightclub?
George
George
Floyd and the cop that
Floyd.
killed him worked at a nightclub doing security together.
Yeah, I read that too.
Yep.
And that they had
They had
Chauvin
words
had
there about
issues
how he
with
was treating people.
yeah, Chauvin had issues with Floyd even then. So as they're saying that this is certainly, it looks like premeditated.
I was getting ready to say, so therefore it was premeditated.
Exactly. So, I think that George Floyd is considered a hero in the Black community, and well, he should be, because his sacrifice has created a bigger movement than they could ever, the supremacists could have ever thought. And
Yes.
one of the things, because watching how the supremacists have been rising in the past 4 years, and seeing their effect and how bold they are with their hatred, it started making you feel, and seeing what was going on TV, it started making you feel like they were taking over, and that it's a very large group. However, now that you see how many people don't agree with it, Black, white, Puerto Rican, it doesn't make any difference. All these different countries have risen up to say, this is not right, and if change has to come. Makes you realize that even if they're a small group, but even though they're a small group, they're still dangerous. And that means that for each one of us, I feel that our lives are always in danger. It doesn't make a difference if you're a child, if you're old, senior, if you're young, it doesn't make a difference. At one time, it was the Black man that was being targeted. It is not the Black man now. It is person with Black skin, no matter what age you are. So we are constantly in danger. And to piggyback off of what Mondre was saying is, I believe that every Black person out here has PTSD. And one of the things that I am making a change in my life, and I've been thinking back to see if it was, if I've ever been this way, but I refuse to teach my kids or my grandchildren that they are equal, and in the same breath tell them that they have to walk around and make all these changes and adjustments just so people can, just so they can be safe. Like we tell our kids, we want to build them up. We want them progressing. We want them to strive for a better life. And then we tell them, okay, when the police come, keep your hands visible. Don't turn too suddenly. I saw Ricky Smiley did a video where he put a camera in his son's car up on the visor. So if he gets pulled over, he immediately turns that camera around. the camera is facing out so that he is always recording what's going on, because he needs to have that visual for his protection. And I thought how angry that makes me, that these young men have to go through things like that. Because when it comes to the bottom line, it doesn't make any difference where your hands are. All you have to do is be Black, and they're going to find a way to abuse you. And so I feel that that's the first change that needs to be made in our community, is that our children should not have to be built up and torn down at the same time. And that's what we do as parents. When we tell them that you have to readjust what you do and talk a different way and walk a different way, and you can't be yourself just to have safety, then that's not fair to our children. And our children are going to continue to be confused because they're always on an edge. They're never quite good enough, no matter what they do. And that's not fair to our children. So I think that we, in this community, we need to make sure that whatever laws are passed, whatever gets changed around, that we have the right to let our kids grow up and be children, to be young adults, to be senior adults, and not have to walk on eggshells, because that's an abusive relationship. And an abusive relationship, no matter what you do, if that person, no matter what you do, he's going to find, or she's going to find, something more that makes them angry. And that's what we're doing. Because the more we comply, the more we turn around and hang our heads, or, yes, sir, no, sir, or whatever, the more abusive this is getting, it has become. And that's what's going on in the police family, is that they are being abusive to us, but on top of being abusive, they're enjoying it. And they're taking a great pleasure. And now that Black Lives Matter is protesting, and that it has become so very visible what they're doing, now, as you said, Habakkuk, they're being blatant with it. So when they change these laws, because these laws are going to have to be changed, they have no choice. And that's the way I feel. Things are going to have to change. And I think also that we as a people, I think the same way you do, Habakkuk, is, so why is there so much hatred towards the Black person? I mean, you walk in the room and people will leave, or, you speak and people will say to you, I didn't know you could talk that way. I didn't know you could do this, this kind of thing, where we're never professional, we're never smart, we're never intelligent, we're never wise. They're always surprised. But yet and still, everything that we do is copied,
Exactly.
And so it makes me feel like we must be some real powerful people. And at the same time, we are very humble people.
Yes.
Because we constantly make adjustments to make everybody else comfortable. And so I know now, as I've been trying to figure this out, that that's what it is that we are a very humble and powerful group of people that people cannot understand. And when you can't understand something, now you have to find something against it, and you have to attack it. So I think that we as a people, if we're, holding our heads up in pride and showing that we are a good group of people, and showing that we can be doctors and lawyers and scientists and, anything else, and presidents, just like everybody else, I think that we need to continue on that path and not try and change it and reverse it like they're trying to get us to do. Anybody have thoughts around that?
I'm encouraged by the diversity of the protests that are out nowadays. And I heard someone else, one of the other leaders, say that as well, because white people aren't going to change until white people get tired of white people stuff.
Yeah.
When white people get tired of racism, because we've been yelling the same thing after every killing, we yell the same thing, we go through the same things. And unfortunately, George Floyd is an unreluctant hero. He didn't apply for that job. The fortunate thing is I really see I'm starting to see the beginnings of things happening, and it's a little encouraging. I don't want to get my hopes up too high. You know, the thing where Lucy pulls the football out from under Charlie Brown. You know, they've been doing that to us for so long.
So true.
So I don't want to get overly hyped up, but I, you know, at the core, in my core soul, I do feel that things are suddenly, the wheels are starting to spin a little bit. You know, we get Trump out of office in November,
please Lord,
and then we can move on, you know, to hopefully a little brighter day. But the main emphasis, and I'm glad I said that, the main impetus for us, and we have to, and I think it's something that we have to perpetuate in all of our shows, is that encouraging people to get out and vote. We have to vote this year. This is, they say it every year, but this is the most important vote of our lives.
Yeah.
So that would be something that all of us should try to encourage, is that each of our listeners, to get all our listeners to encourage them to get out and vote.
Exactly.
It's gonna make a change. It's gonna make a change this year. So we'll see. And I'm hopeful. I'm hoping that Biden picks Kamala Harris or a black woman for the vice president running mate. I think that's gonna energize the black base to get out and vote in record numbers, like we did when Obama was out running. And so those are little signs of encouragement that I have. And, you know, sometimes that's all you know, that's all I have. I have to cling on to that little bit in order to get through the day sometimes, you know. That's all I have sometimes. So.
Exactly. And I think that also the fact that if we're accentuating the positive about who we are, and we keep that in first and foremost, and because I feel like before this election, things are going to get worse, because we can see how things are in the leadership, the so-called leadership. This thing with him with June 19th and where the convention is going to be is direct insult to Black people. And I believe that he's trying to distract us from what was going on with all the police brutality. This is done so that it can distract us and change our conversation. And I feel that we need to stay on track to get the police, this changed, the assault against us as people, the abuse against us as people from the top down, and change happens from the top down. And I feel like once that's cleaned up, then the rest of it will come. But for us as voters, know that when we go out to vote in these elections, it's also about who's second level, who's third level, who's fourth level, that we have to make sure the right people are in these positions. Because whether it's leadership, as you saw what they did with President Obama, he was a leader, but everybody below him had the agenda to try and destroy him. Fortunately, he's strong enough that they didn't accomplish it. No matter how much they think they did, his legacy is set, and they can't change that. And so that's what we have to do, is we have to encourage people that it's not just about the president position, it's about all the other, the DA and our senators and our congressmen and our aldermen and all the different levels of politics. Those need to be changed and addressed. And I think that once people see that we are not going to step back, we are not going to be quiet, and we're not afraid anymore. Because why are we afraid when we leave our house with trauma every day? And we're amazed when we come back and we haven't experienced trauma. However, somebody else has experienced it that we know and love, because it happens in our families and, you know, constantly. So there's no fear anymore. And so no matter what they do, people are not afraid anymore. So that means that there has to be change. Any thoughts around that? Thank you, Mike.
Some of those changes that need to come from multiple different directions. This problem needs to be attacked like a virus that it is, from all different directions.
Exactly.
Laws need to be changed. Even people's opinions and views need to be changed. if we don't structure things, things won't happen for us. I'm gonna give you a for instance. During this pandemic, you saw Jewish people holding large funerals. See black guys on the sidewalk getting beat down because they talking too close to one another. But you got 150, 200 people out here having large funerals, and the police are standing right there and don't say a word. Why? Because they value that money that the Jewish people have or something. It's not fair. The playing field's not fair. It's not fair when people go to jail. Two people can go to jail for the same crime. One rich, one poor. Poor dude gonna go do some time. The rich dude gonna pay a few dollars and skip out.
Right.
There's all kind of issues with this, but we all have to be mindful. And the young people, I'm glad they are picking up the pace because we need them. You know, every day we get fewer and fewer older people passing away. So we got to pass the torch sometimes and open up their minds and help guide them to get to where they should be.
Yeah.
Well, I know when it comes to like the laws and, to what you said was about why the police didn't address the Jewish people.
Right.
One thing I've learned is that the laws and policies, they were never made for the white man in the first place. They were made to keep us in check. And so that's why, and that's just from my recollection.
Right.
And I think that has to change, so when it comes to policies and all that stuff, the policies and rules and laws, they have to be for everyone,
Right.
and I know that's going to be a very, very hard thing to change, because when you have the same people who created these unfair policies and laws in the positions to create the laws, that's really that's a huge fight.
Right.
And that's the fight I think that we're starting to fight now. We're finally saying, change your policies, change your laws, because they're only towards us to keep us down, to destroy us
Right.
as people of color. And
Right.
so that I think that's something that we have to look at. So while we're, and to whoever was talking about voting, that's another reason why it is so important to vote, because when you vote, this is the reason why we vote. We vote so that we can change these policies when it comes in these laws and stuff. And that's why numbers really do play a major part in it,
Right.
So voting is important. When it comes to voting, there's no more, well, I'm not going to vote because they're not going to listen to me. That's not true. That was never true. And I think these protests and stuff is definitely proving that, because it's forcing, for example, here in New Britain, I actually have a meeting with the police department because of the marches and stuff that have been taking place here in this city. The police department literally have gone into all their policies and everything, and the police chief called an emergency meeting for the city to come and speak with them, so they can literally say, these are the policies and the rules and laws that we think that have been unfair and have been really been targeting people of color. And so these are the things that we think we need to change. And this is how we're going to change it. What do you think? So if it wasn't for these protests, and if it wasn't for these young kids, you're going out here and saying, Black Lives Matter and stuff, we wouldn't be able to do that. So
Right.
voting and numbers,
Exactly.
that's our strength.
We have to be
And
overwhelmed.
go ahead, Mandre.
No, I was saying we have to be overwhelming with the vote, because
Absolutely.
the Republicans and Trump, they're going to try everything they can to suppress us, just like they did in Georgia. South Carolina had some problems. We had problems here in Nevada, which was really crazy. They had some 7-hour lines here as well.
Y'all be dealing with voter suppression in Nevada?
This past election, this past Tuesday, they did have a few problems with it.
Wow.
But most of the balloting was done by mail-in. Habak and I both did our ballots mail-in, but a lot of people didn't get the mail-in and didn't get the ballots in the mail in time. And just a few of the precincts had some problems with it, but nothing like Georgia. Nothing like Georgia.
Okay.
I mean, Georgia overshadowed everything, which is really rare. It's rare out here on the West Coast because out here we're really progressive.
Yeah.
And you know, I give the West Coast that, but you know, we still have our problems out here as well. You know, we still,
Wow.
you know,
Well,
Black
two
lives.
two takeaways I take from what you guys are saying is the positive takeaways is that with this voter suppression, and as you can see, it's getting more and more fierce, that this fear is on the other side, that they know that people are tired and that people will come out and they will vote. And the fact that people are standing in line for hours and hours in order to vote is very encouraging. So I encourage everybody to, you know, it's going to happen, be prepared, it's going to happen. We need to tighten up our backs, but we've been through stuff before and we've come through it. And they say that's one of the things about Black people is that we've been through so much that new stuff is just something else that we gotta tighten up our back and keep moving forward, you know. And so, you know, encouraging people. Now, me personally, I said that if I can't mail in my vote, I'm taking me a chair and I'm going to sit in line. And as that line move forward, I'll get up and move my chair forward. I'll ask people in the back of me to respect the fact that I'm moving slowly so I can keep my place in line. But if I have to be there 7 hours, I'm gonna be there 7 hours. And I'm gonna ask somebody to come with me. So if I need to take a bathroom break, I can go take a bathroom break and come back and we can piggyback. If I'm by myself, then I will ask somebody in line to partner with me, hold my space so that I can come back and sit in my chair until I get inside that voting booth and I can vote. So I am determined that my vote is going to count. And I want, you know, that's my prayer is that everybody, especially the Black community, has that same determination that if we don't affect the change is not going to happen because no one is going to do it for us. You know?
And let me add
That's
this.
it.
Mind if I add this? We got to make sure people are held accountable. Everybody's got to be held accountable. We're all held accountable to our actions and things we do every single day. But there's part of society that skates with accountability. For instance, the officer had his knee on George Floyd's neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. The other cops standing around there keeping everybody back when they should have been over there getting his knee off of him. If we was in the commission of a crime like that being done, we'd all go to jail for murder because we was in the commission of a crime being done. Then one guy's out already. So we're going to see how this plays out. But accountability is definitely a big ticket, and that goes for everybody. From our elected officials, if they don't come through or they do some crazy stuff with their votes and stuff like that, make them accountable at voting time. Everybody's got to be accountable for their actions, and accountability is a big ticket. Pass the laws and make them work and make everybody accountable to follow how they're going.
And continue videotaping everything because that's been our saving grace. Because if this
Yeah.
stuff was not videotaped, and I hear people all the time, why are they videotaping instead of helping? You cannot help in situations like that. And people need to understand that those who are out there posting saying the people that were standing around should have jumped in, they know that's a wrong statement. But you can videotape it, and the more people that's videotaping and putting it out there, no matter how much they try and change the narrative, the video speaks for itself. And I think one of the other encouraging things that I'm seeing is the fact that I'm seeing more police have been charged with assault recently. And that needs to continue because I think that once the police realize that they're going to be accountable for what they do, then stuff that's been happening will change. As long as they have these police commissions and stuff backing them up, paying their bail like that guy in Minnesota, as long as they have that on their backs, they are not going to change their behavior. But let it come from their pocketbook, let them get fired from their jobs and things like that. Let them go through some trauma in their own lives. Then I think that that's going to affect the change as well. And also make those patrol the beats that they're on their feet and get to know the community instead of driving around, black or white, I don't care. On police, we have a lot of arrogance that's going on. Make them get to know the people, whether they want to or not. Get out there and walk the beat. You know, when I was growing up, they walked the beat in the project that I grew up in. And my youngest daughter, out of 6 kids, my youngest daughter was graduating high school, and this man walked up to me, gentleman walked up to me, and he said, "Hey, you're a Sanders from Charter Oak Terrace." And I'm like, "What?" And he said, "Yeah, I remember you. I used to be a police officer, and I used to walk the beat, and I would my mother and people in the project would have them come in, they sit down, have a meal, have something to drink, and if it was hot, they give them cold, you know, something cold to drink. But they knew all of us in the community, and it wasn't to say that these kids weren't going to do something that was bad, because I mean they're kids. All kids are going to explore and see what they can get away with. But they would sit down with those kids and talk to them and try and see what kind of direction, what was going on in their life to make them that angry, what could be done to help them. That's what we need. We don't need police with law and order. We need police who are part of the community to help the whole community. And that's the only way we're going to start being able to get rid of some of this trauma that we're going through. If they don't do it, then it's not going to happen. And I see some police around the country have already started doing that, and they're lauded as heroes and things like that.
Right.
Instead of that being the exception, that should be the norm. And if some of them are doing it, all of them can do it if they are really serious about protecting and serving and taking the, you know, filling that oath that they take in their vows.
Right.
So one of the things that you guys, I appreciate you guys sharing your thoughts, and you know, we talk about the trauma and the emotional upheaval that we're all going through. At the same time, we are trying to find ways that we can laugh and we can smile and everything, because if we don't, then this stuff is going to overtake us. So as strong Black people, we want to continue on the path that we're taking, and that's providing great music, providing a professional, you know, show to people, you know, encouraging all these artists and everything who participate in the music world to continue doing what they're doing. And one of the things that Power Music is looking to do, and that we want to put out there, is that there's a few places that I've seen that's trying to create a platform for people to be able to express their feelings, because people have to have an outlet some kind of way. And so Power Music, DJ Collywood is working on creating something on our website where we can have people, you know, upload videos or audios, right, Colin, where they can be able to express their feelings and have you know, another form of platform to express the trauma that they're going through. So I appreciate your time. We're going to wind up. Do anybody have any closing thoughts before we close?
Well, I would just say that for those of you who are going to be who are watching, especially us, you know, people of color, just know that everything is going to be all right. You know, we just need to continue to come together, you know, and continue in the fight. You know, we can't, even though we do see some change happening. I heard someone say on TV, I think it was Kiki Palmer, she said when she was talking to the National Guard, it's still not enough. And so we can't be we have to keep the energy going and continue to fight this. I think this fight is going to be going on for a while. You know, again, we've been dealing, us as people, Black folk, we've been dealing with this stuff for a very long time, and so the fight is going to continue. It's going to be for a while, but I think as long as we stick together and we continue to look out for one another and love one another and put each other you know, up, then I think that we're going to be okay. So keep fighting, you know, keep loving, be proud, know that Black is beautiful. You know, Black lives do matter. Because you can't say all lives matter and then our lives don't matter. So Black lives does matter. If all lives matter, then our lives matter.
Exactly.
That is true.
So we have to put that out there too. So
that's
all I want to say.
Okay.
I
Can we end?
always say all lives should matter, but in the eyes of the law, unfortunately, they don't. So
And so we're going to change that, right?
we're gonna change it.
Yeah, we're going to change that.
Kids are gonna change it. We're gonna change it. I'm hopeful.
Yes.
Can we on 3 end with our Power Music title and subtitle?
What was that, was?
I said, can we end with our title and our subtitle of Power Music Radio?
We sure can.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. We are Power
Power
Music
Music
Radio.
Radio.
Where
And
R&B
R&B
music
music is our
universal
universal
language.
language.
Thank you.
Bravo.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. See ya.
Thanks. That was great.
Oh, that was
Bye,
good.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Make sure real quick, for those of you watching, again, we are Power Music Radio. We are on our website is powermusicradio.com. Music is spelled with a Z.
That's
All right.
right.
And you can find us and follow us on all of our social media at the PMR Crew. Again, that's the P. I feel like I'm doing a drop. PMR Crew. The PMR Crew. Crew.
You are.
Right. Crew is spelled with a K. All right. And and there's something else, but it'll come.
Tune in.
Tune in to our shows.
That's right.
One
Tune
love,
in.
everybody.
All right, y'all.
Exactly.
One love.
See
Peace.
y'all.
Bye-bye.
Take care, everybody.